Guys, hi again. Hello, hi everyone. Anushri is just gonna be here in a moment.
Hi,
Hi Anushri, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Good, not too bad, just staying indoors.
Yeah,
So we have a lot of people joining, and I'll just give a
yeah.
couple of minutes for more people to join so that we can start.
Okay. So it's the Sunday has started.
It's Sunday morning, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started now. Um, So, welcome Anushri, and thank you so much for doing this with me. For
Thank you.
those of you who do not know, Anushri was my junior, where we did our articleship, CA articleship together. And she was 3 years junior to me, but I had such fun interactions with her. Our conversations always used to be so much fun and never ending. And the reason I decided to talk to her today is very special, and we'll talk about it in a bit here. But yeah, really looking forward for this conversation. So Anushri, tell me about yourself and where did you grow up and what are you currently doing? What do you want to do? So tell me about yourself.
Okay. So first of all, thank you, Hetal. As she mentioned, she's not just my senior. We are very close as friends as well. You missed that I had danced on your wedding and we had a lot of fun. But apart from that, so we were together in CA articleship and I cleared my CA final exams in November 2018. So my first attempt was May 2018. I cleared it in November 2018. Immediately after that, I started with my first job through campus placement of ICAI. I started working with Blue Star Limited, and I'm still working. So I just resigned right now. I took my first CAT attempt in November 2019, which was 6 months back, and the results were out by January. That is the first shortlist, which is for the interviews, were out in the month of January. Luckily, we got done with the interviews before lockdown, so we did not have to switch to a virtual mode for an interview. We had it physically, and the results were out last week, about 2 weeks back. So I have the admit to IIM Ahmedabad, so I'll be joining it soon. Hopefully, we'll be able to get on campus really soon. So that's it. That's of course the academic journey, and apart from that, I've had a lot of fun in college and all. I think we'll talk about it as we go ahead.
Right. So both of us are chartered accountants, and when I was preparing for my CA, my biggest fear was, or my biggest motivator was the fear that I do not want to fail this exam because I cannot study this again. So that used to give me
Hmm.
nightmares, and I was really scared of failing. So how did so you gave your first attempt in May 18, right? May 18,
Yes.
but you did not clear one of the groups, and then you had to reappear in November 18. So how did you sort of handle that situation? And I know a lot of people do not pass in the first attempt
Hmm.
because there is luck also involved in CA exams. I would say
Yeah.
95% hard work and 5% luck also. So how did you sort of go, how did you sort of take that, and what is your biggest takeaway from that? What is it that you learned from that experience?
Hmm. So I think Hetal, absolutely, like you said, that failing a CA exam is very fearful, and everybody does not want to face it. So I was in a similar position. I never wanted to face it because I had a very good academic background, good percentages, always like among the top 10 students in the class. So that was something I did not look forward to, but I think by far it's the most useful thing that has happened to me because I learned a lot through it. So initially, I did not expect it to happen, but once it happened, at that particular time, I knew that life has to go on, right? So first few days were very difficult, but after that I thought it's fine. A lot of people fail and it's not the end of the world. But now when I think back, like in retrospection, I feel that was such a big roadblock. I mean, at that time it didn't seem huge because ये करना है, ये पता है कि खत्म तो करना है ये course. So that we are very sure. But now when I think of it, I think what people fear, what students fear about CA exams is that the rigorous portion, those 8 papers, so all those are very hectic and very cumbersome. So that is fearful. But what I learned out of it is, of course, even if you put hard work and you put your 100%, sometimes things don't work out, and it's fine because life is unfair, but it's unfair fairly. So you will get your share when it's due. So I just kept going thinking that kabhi to apna time aayega, and so I went through it. I gave the second attempt and I was very motivated because of that failure. So I think cracking CAT for the entrance test, which is for MBA, in the very first attempt was because I was not willing to take any other second attempt at any other exam, because I was very clear that if I have to do it this time, I have to do it in the first attempt. So thankfully, have gotten rid of the guilt now.
So how did you get weird reactions from people? Did that scare you कि लोग क्या कहेंगे फेल होने के बाद, and और ऐसे कुछ experiences आए भी जहाँ पे you felt no, you know, this person shouldn't have said me this, and how did you deal with that?
So I don't think nobody was like rude on the face or disrespectful or disappointing on my face. But you know, people always feel that this person has talent. Ye ladki mein to hai baar. Why didn't she make it? I mean, she put her everything, but she didn't make it. So it's not kind of like you don't feel happy about it that okay, somebody expected me to clear, but you also feel sad because somebody believed in you and you couldn't do that, right? You disappointed them. So that is something that lets you down. But in the end of the day, I think all of that does not matter unless and until you pick yourself up and do it. But that is so I have started figuring out that failure and success, both of these are the times when you realize who are your true friends, who are your family members, and I have not been enough grateful to my family because they have been constant. So be it failure, be it success, your true constants will stay the same. So if you have their backing and their support, I think all you need is self-belief. After that, it's fine.
So after clearing CA exams, okay, there is a question. 10th and 12th marks don't help either. Do you think 10th and 12th marks का कुछ value नहीं है?
So it's a flip question. Actually, 10th and 12th marks do matter if you want to do an MBA. So there is this thing called as a composite score, which most of all Indian Institute of Management follow, which is like a calculation, a formula of your 10th score, 12th score, graduation score, your work experience, your extracurricular activities. So 10th and 12th do matter. So if you have had a good academic record, it's always beneficial. But having said that, it's not that that's a roadblock. So I was always being told that only CA rankers or first attempt CA clear people only make it to the IIMs, especially IIM Ahmedabad and Bangalore. Because, and not just people, even when I did my research, when I went on to LinkedIn and searched people from IIM Ahmedabad alumni list, they were all like, they always had this one description, IIM Ahmedabad CA AIR 5 or AIR 3 or AIR 50. So they were all rankers, and of course it scares you that maybe you're not up to the mark. But there are exceptions. So you can always crack it in your CAT, or you can always do it in your interview. Or your extracurriculars can be really excellent, which can set you apart from the others. So all these things matter, but at the same time, they should not be a hindrance in you putting your 100% efforts or giving up in the beginning itself. That apna to acha nahi hai background, so how will we make it? So that's not a thing, but of course a little bit matters.
Right. Yeah. So after finishing or after completing your CA exams, most of the students go either pick jobs or they get into practice. You also did the same, but why did and when did you decide to appear for CAT and go for an MBA?
Okay, so MBA was always the plan. Like since 12th standard कि CA के बाद MBA करना है. But when you have CA, a big goal as CA in front of you, you often tend to forget कि उसके बाद क्या करना है. So your main aim is, and that should be the way, that it should be that way, that CA should be your main goal, or whatever is your graduation degree should be your main goal to do well in those graduation scores. But I think somewhere after my CA final attempt, and when I was going to decide whether I want to take up a job, I want to prepare full time for the entrance exam, I spoke to a lot of seniors. All of them guided me very well. I spoke to some career counselors also. So they always told me that take up a job. A practical experience is also important. It of course will be a little hectic, but having a job also gives you that support that even if somehow you don't make it well or don't do well in your exam, you have a job which is adding to your CV also, and you are growing through your job as well. So I think that is somewhere I decided that I'll take up a job. I'll do it along with my CAT preparation, and I'll take the exam in November, and then I'll think whether to quit job or to continue it and take another attempt.
Okay. So we have a question here. Can you suggest, okay, we'll get to CAT discussion in a bit. So once you decided you want to do an MBA, you want to give CAT, how did you juggle between your work and your studies and your everything that you do? So you write, you're a very popular blogger as well, and you do so much of artwork and you do so much. So how did you handle all of that together?
Okay, you telling me that you do so much is very absurd, because I don't even do 50% of the tasks that you do. But anyway, so so it was hectic. So, but I had a clear direction in my mind that office ka time is for office. You have to have a productive day at work. But after that, you should not waste time doing office after parties or going for informal meetings. You can quit there at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., whatever is the time, and to come back to your studies and do it well. So weekdays was office plus study, and weekends were basically only attending classes, taking mock tests, studying on your own. So of course, 6 months of weekends you have to sacrifice if you're a working professional, because then you don't get enough time to prepare. So that is true. And as you mentioned, extracurriculars, I think now after coming out of the interview experience, I think extracurriculars is one thing that you must always maintain. Like when I was doing my activities in college, or leading fests, or doing normal blogging, or doing extracurricular courses, I never thought of it as कि ये मेरे CV में it will be an additional point. No, I just did it for the fun of it. But you will be surprised that the only question that was a make or break question in my IIM Ahmedabad interview was them asking me to analyze their handwriting. So I'm a certified graphologist. So they asked me to analyze their handwriting on the spot, and my interview until that point was really bad. I couldn't answer a lot of questions. But once they asked me that, I was like, this is my chance, and this is the time I have to speak. Mm-hmm. So that was a make and break moment for me. That, as well as you mentioned about work and study side by side, right? So a lot of your questions in your interview are based on the work that you do. So once you have done that work practically in office, you're in a better position to explain it. So I have done some really silly jobs at work also, but they were asked in my interview. So I was very glad that something that I thought was not very value adding to my work was asked in the interview, and I could answer it satisfactorily. So you never know what can come useful. So, and in an interview, they actually see what kind of a personality you are overall, and not just your academic background, right? Because they want to know who you are beyond your CV. So you have to have the balance between office, studies, extracurricular. So I think that's the way out.
Right. So can you suggest, this is a question, can you suggest books and practice for CAT, what it takes to get you up to 99 percentile from as low as 90 percentile? So before that, what did you take any external coaching, and what was your studying strategy? And you can include what books you referred and everything else.
So I joined a coaching institute right in the month of April. So I started with a coaching institute because we have 3 subjects in CAT. One is English, The other is logical reasoning, which we call as DILR. And the third one is mathematics, which we call as quantitative aptitude, which is a mix of maths and statistics. So I knew that maths has to be built. I mean, the basic conceptual understanding has to be built. So I joined classes mainly for maths. English consists of reading comprehensions and a little bit of vocabulary. So I usually did that on my own. But for logic and maths, you actually need a little help. If you're okay with doing it on yourself, there are books that help you. There's one author called Arun Sharma. He has books for all three subjects. So those are the only extra books I referred. Apart from that, I referred only my coaching classes material. I joined IMS in Thane itself. That's my city. So that helped. And apart from that, what is most important is taking mock tests. So a lot of people recommend taking mock tests after you're prepared with the portion. But I have a little contrary belief. I feel you have to take a mock test right when you're starting. So I took a mock test in the month of April itself to understand where I stand. That is when I understood that my maths is weak or my English is my strength in spite of not preparing a lot for English. So take a mock, understand, analyze your strengths, weaknesses, and then keep on covering your portion and keep on taking mock tests so that you understand that how are you performing in a 3-hour time limit examination. So it's a time-based test. So you have to balance on how many questions you want to attempt, how many questions you want to leave, because there is negative marking as well. So you need to form your own strategy. So that will come only when you practice a lot of mock tests. So if somebody is looking for appearing for CAT this year, I'd say take a mock test tomorrow morning itself, understand what are your basics and where you lack, and then start with your preparation.
Okay. How did you prepare for DILR specifically?
Okay. So DILR is basically for... Yeah, so it is data interpretation and logical reasoning. It has two types of questions. Data interpretation is basically analysis of graph, pie chart, line graph. So all these. So it is mostly calculation based. So your calculations need to be really fast. You should be very fast in mental math. And the second part, which is logical reasoning, has a lot of weird puzzles or these family relations questions. Or they sometimes have Venn diagrams, which was taught in school. So I was strong in logical reasoning right from the beginning because I thought it came naturally to me. I didn't practice a lot, but it came naturally to me. Data interpretation needed a lot of calculations, which is why I thought it was a little time consuming. So I had planned that I will take up the logical reasoning questions first in my 1-hour slot during the exam, and I'll go to data interpretation later. But CAT is surprising, and what happened is data interpretation questions were much easier than the logical reasoning questions in the real exam day. So no matter how you have strategized your entire 3 hours, then you have to amend and modify it during those 3 hours. So
Right.
This entire MBA journey is actually like even before joining an MBA course, it actually tests your presence of mind. So are you able to change your strategy during the 3 hours of exams? Are you able to answer well in an interview? All of this is like based on your presence of mind and awareness. So for DILR, especially if you ask me, solve a lot of sums because once you get familiar to types of questions, it is a higher chance that they will appear in your exams and you will be comfortable with them. Prepare a strategy before going to an exam about what questions you want to attempt, how do you want to go, how much time you want to spend on a particular question. But be flexible in your exam and so the first section is English, second is logic, and third is quant, math. So don't carry the burden of a bad English section to your logical reasoning section. Same thing happened in our attempt. The English section was extremely difficult, but the people who took the burden of a bad paper in the second section screwed DILR in spite of it being easy because they had the burden of not doing well in English. So I did not carry that. I had made it clear in my mind that even if one section goes bad, you won't have to carry it ahead. And so that is the trick for DILR.
Okay. And what was your strategy for quants?
So quants, initially I was very bad at quants. I scored scores in single digit, like 3 out of 100, 5 out of 100. I was really bad. So my preparation strategy was get a very good hold on your calculation. So I remember writing tables every single day from April to January. I might have skipped a few days, but that's okay. I wrote tables, I wrote squares, cubes. It reminded me of those school days when we used to prepare for scholarship exams. But that's important because the time you put pen to paper, you are going to spend time on that sum. You have to try to not put pen to paper, and you have to solve your math sums orally. So you have to build up on your mental math. That's the first step. Second step is you have to analyze by taking a lot of mocks, that whether you are good at your accuracy or are you good at attempting a lot of questions faster and being sure of it of 60% and still attempting it. So taking a lot of mock tests made me realize that my accuracy was good. So whenever I used to attempt a question, they used to be correct. But in that process, I used to not be able to attempt a lot of questions. So I tried to switch my strategy and I started to attempt questions vigorously. Like I started attempting 20 out of 34 questions, but that led to negative marking. So after a lot of trial and error, I decided that I will attempt only when I am about 80% sure of the answer. Only then I will attempt. And I was, in spite of doing a lot of mental math, I was still a little slow. So I used to get only one chance to go through all the questions. Some students also followed the strategy of going through the question once, then coming back to the difficult ones. But in my case, I couldn't find that time for the second round. So I had to go through the entire paper only once, but attempt the question when you started solving the paper. So that's what I did. I did not try to attempt a lot of questions. I attempted only when I was very sure of the answer.
Okay. What will you suggest to students who have failed in IPCC and or finals for a couple of times, and then they decide to quit and they jump to some other course? So I think you already talked about it, but what would you suggest to those students?
Yeah, so for people who don't know and are trying to switch from CA or are dejected from the CA failure, but want to do an MBA ahead, I'll speak for them first. So in MBA, what the formula changes every year, but since the past few years, the formula of deriving your composite score has been in a way that your average of your IPCC and CA final marks will be taken. And it does not matter that you're passing the first attempt or your second attempt or your third attempt. So even if you're taking a lot of attempts in your CA exams and you want to pursue an MBA later, don't be dejected. Try to score as much as you can in your second or the third attempt so that your total percentage goes higher and you get that benefit while applying for MBA college. So that is one thing. So you don't have to be dejected, because I remember my second attempt scores were almost double the marks of my first attempt score. So I had to give only one group, but my scores really hiked up in the second attempt, which is why maybe my average percentage went to up to 60%, and then I got the benefit of that in my MBA calculation of composite score. So that is one thing. And the second thing is, it's okay, yaar. I mean, attempts after a point of time, they mean nothing. I mean, it's not the end of the world. You have so many people doing so many different things in life with the digital media and all. So if you want to switch to a different course, it's absolutely fine. Just make sure you give 100% in that field. But being a very true chartered accountant at heart, I don't feel giving advices to people to quit CA, because it is worth it. After a point of time, once you clear, it is absolutely worth it. Your efforts seem worth it. So don't quit unless you're really wanting to do something else.
Yeah. Which mock series do you recommend the most?
So I had taken mock series of IMS and Time. I would recommend IMS itself. I found them to be more useful.
Okay. So this is my question now. If you had to mention 3 things that you must do right during your CA prep or your CAT prep, what would they be? And I know you have written a blog on this, but can you elaborate on this a bit?
Yeah, so I think for preparing for any exam or for any big mission of your life, one thing is always be open to a lot of things. Be aware, be open, do your own research, talk to people, and find out what you want to do in the end. So never get dejected or disappointed by somebody else's opinions. I'll give a very personal example. When I was preparing for CAT, people always told me that you judge the exam and then amend the number of questions you want to attempt as per the difficulty level of that exam. I tried a lot. I tried to analyze that whether this test is easy, difficult. I spoke to a lot of people who told me if there are a lot of geometry sums, then probably it's a difficult quant section. If there are if there are comprehensions from like ancient times, then probably it's a difficult English section. If there are a lot of four sets Venn diagram, it's a difficult DLR section. All these suggestions were useful. So talk to a lot of people, take their suggestions, but form your opinion, your strategy, your timetable, your schedule on your own. Don't depend on somebody, because I couldn't take that advice of testing the difficulty level of a test, which is why in the main exam also, even though the first section was difficult, my mind did not calculate the difficulty level, and I could just go through the entire 3 hours because I did not judge the level of difficulty. So the baseline is don't depend on anybody other's advice too much. Likewise, take a lot of advices, understand the concept, understand a lot. If you have doubts, clear it from your seniors. But in the end, depend on your own strategy. Second, I think is if you're preparing for any exam, having a proper demarcation of your personal professional life is extremely important. Basically, creating good timetables, having good time management skills, because I feel very thankful of having a good way to multitask college and articleship. You have also done that, right? You did Vikasa, you did dance along with articleship, and you were very active in college itself. So that also helps, because later in life you have to do the same. So I think somewhere when I did college and a lot of fests in college alongside articleship, there was a lot of stress. But I think that made me ready for this CAT preparation along with work. So don't try to get away with the opportunities. If you're getting opportunities, take it up, manage your time. There is always a way that you can manage your time. So many people I know on the internet are doing so many different things along with CA also. So you can manage your time if you want to. So always keep on doing a lot of things, because eventually they really help. I mean, I cannot be enough thankful for all the extracurricular college activities I've done, because that helps me in my interviews, because that is something that will set you apart from the others, right? Academics sab karte hain, but what are your hobbies? What are your interests? Always keep them, because they can be really helpful ahead in life. So that is second. And I think third is very general mind, believe in yourself and all that gyan. I mean,
okay.
Have confidence and don't give up. So all these are basic stuff, but I think the underlying thing is keep yourself engaged. So people used to always say that, why are you so busy? You don't have time for anybody. You don't have time for meeting your friends. You're always busy. You don't rest well. You don't sleep well. But that actually can be a motivation. So always be busy. It stops you from overthinking a lot. It stops you from having a lot of weird thoughts. So I believe that the most useful thing of doing job alongside CAT preparation was I did not have time to think that, oh my God, I'm not a CA ranker, or oh my God, am I doing well enough? I have quit my job, so will it be worth it? So I did not have time to think about all these things, which is why I think I was on track. If I had the time to sit at home and think that mere se ho payega ya nahi, will I be able to do it? So many rankers have been to IIMs, I'm not a ranker, then I would have been really a bad overthinker and I would have been dejected. So being busy actually helps me. If it works for you, well and good.
Okay, that was very good. How many leaves did you take from work for your CAT prep?
Yeah, so not a lot. I took about a week and a half. So it was Diwali week before that. So I was a little unwell at that time as well. So I took only 1 week of preparatory leave, and that is only because you need to get into a right frame of mind for CAT. You cannot be tense, you cannot be stressed at all. You need to have a good sleep. So I have always been the person who stresses a lot before exams, who sleeps really less. So in CA exams, that is what I changed, So in my second attempt, I started sleeping well. So even before CAT, you have to have a good peaceful frame of mind, because in the end, those 3 hours are going to be really important. So take the last 1 or 2 days for relaxation. Don't study a lot on the last few days, because you have to have a fresh mind on the day of those on the day of the main exam.
Okay, so we have a lot of questions on interviews, but we'll be coming to interviews in like 2 minutes. This is the last question I'm taking, and I think this is important. How is the preparation for CAT different from CA prep? So because CA students tend to study, like 14, 15 hours at a stretch and for 4 or 5 months together. So does that strategy work for CAT? And that is, if you study longer hours when you come close to CAT exam. So how is CAT prep different from CA?
Okay, so this is very subjective actually, but it is different. So preparation for CA is more rigorous. You have to be in touch of all 8 subjects. There is a lot to study. The portion is very vast, and you need to keep reading the same stuff again and again so that you get into the language. So people who are appearing for CA exams, you know it very well that if you're attempting for audit, you need to read audit again and again so that you get into the language of audit. If you're studying for corporate law, you need to read corporate law again and again, maybe the entire act, because you need to develop a language for law. Similarly for IT, or now I think IT is no more a subject, but any subject for that matter, in CA you have to practice a lot. It's the same here, but here it's more like you have to go through a lot of material. The more new sums you solve, the more DILR sets, logical reasoning sets you solve, the more reading comprehensions you solve, the better you get. And there is a higher chance that similar sets would come in your exam as well. So people say that none of the math questions repeat in any of the CAT exams. So you won't have a repeat question. So one part of that is, अगर repeat नहीं होना है तो क्यों करना है इतना मेहनत? But that's not the case. You have to solve a lot of questions so that you find similar questions in the exam as well. So while CA is more like reading the same stuff again and again, trying to develop a language for it, CAT studies is mainly having a view of everything. So for reading comprehensions, a lot of people read a lot of books so that they have known and been aware of a lot of different subjects. People go on Wikipedia to read about different topics. I practice a lot of reading comprehensions. I'm not a reader, so I used to not read books, but I solved reading comprehensions every day, like 6 reading comprehensions every day from different books. So you have to go through a lot of material. A lot of material is available on the internet. There are free mock tests, there are free books, free ebooks, a lot of quizzes that happen. So try different types of study techniques for CAT. I found CAT preparation very a lot of fun because it's different from what it is in CAT. But one thing is common, that if you have done CA, you have a lot of self-belief, and you believe that अगर CA का पढ़ाई किया है तो कुछ भी और पढ़ाई कर सकते हैं. So that is another thing that motivates you, because CA portion is really vast, and CAT is not that fast, but CAT more tests on your time management skills, your awareness during the exam, and all of this. So a little different, but your core values remain the same.
Okay. So did your CA articleship experience help in your interviews, or is that considered as your experience?
So CA articleship experience is not considered as work experience. Only a full-time job is considered as your work experience. So if you're continuing in the same field, like I was in audit, so were you. I went into risk management and internal control for my corporate job. So it did not help me much because I had a work experience of 1 year. So they could ask me questions about my work experience because that was more beneficial, and they knew about it also. They didn't ask me much on my articleship experience. But for people who are working in tax or are also continuing with the same firm, like Big Four, they continue with the same firm for a job as well. They might be questioned on some of their assignments in articleship in the interview, but that is not considered as a work experience. You don't get points for it.
Okay. Let's move on to the interview section. Now tell us about your interview experience right from when you started applying to B schools and other schools. We had a question from someone about SP Jain. So your experience with SP Jain. And so they have read your blog. They said, okay, we read on her blog that she gave an interview at SP Jain as well. So tell me about how was the application process and how was your interview process and everything else.
Okay, so major entrance tests for MBA happen in the month of November, December, maximum the first week of January. After that, you are free to start preparing for your interviews. The results of CAT are out in the month of Jan. So, and the interviews start taking place in the month of February itself. So you have hardly 1 month's time. So it's better that immediately after you CAT, you start preparing for interviews. Some people go one step further. They start preparing for interviews right from the beginning, like reading a lot of books, reading newspapers, current affairs, which is amazing. I mean, if you can do that, if you can also balance interview preparation along with CAT study, it's great. But I actually started after my CAT exam. I started reading a lot of current affair topics because I thought that is a little a place where I lack. So I started reading general knowledge, current affairs, started watching a lot of videos on YouTube. And generally about what I have done in my life, what I want to do in my life further, because they don't just ask about current affairs, they also ask about yourself, and you cannot afford to not being able to answer questions on yourself. You cannot, it's okay if you don't know when World War II took place, but you cannot afford to not know what are your hobbies, or if you like traveling, which places you travel to. So a little bit about yourself, a little bit about what you want to do ahead in life, and a little bit of current affairs preparation is also something that is enough for you to crack the interview. So that is the preparation for interviews. And so the interviews began in February. The first interview that takes place is in the month of, in second week of February, everything starts. So I remember my February month was packed, and I had about 8 to 9 interviews in the month of February itself, one after the other.
And you traveled to those places?
No. So I had chosen Mumbai as my interview location. You can choose it when you're filling forms. So once the CAT results are out, the individual colleges release their shortlist for interviews. So first Ahmedabad will release, then IIM Bangalore will release. So once you're shortlisted, you know that you have to apply for this particular college. Then there is a college specific form, and they are really exhaustive. So you literally have to invest 6-7 hours in filling up one form. Some colleges also demand an SOP, which is a statement of purpose. So I would recommend that even before the shortlist is out, just start preparing on your SOP, like what you have done all your life, what you have done in your life, and what you want to do ahead in life. So that you can prepare after CAT, and current affairs, general awareness, reading newspapers, all these are very basic, and that you have to keep going. So my Ahmedabad interview was a little funny. It was difficult, and it was very long. It was 50 minutes long. Wow. So I wasn't able to judge whether it's a good sign or a negative sign. But I was the first in my panel, so I think that worked because they were interviewing a person for the first time. So it began with basic work questions, and then it went on to academics. Then it went on to topics I did not know about. So they went on to GST, where I have studied GST. Being a chartered accountant, you're supposed to know GST. But I don't know the practical applications of GST, because when I studied, it was just new in our portion, and I had never worked practically in the field of GST. So they asked me really numerical questions on what are the difference between that and GST regime, and they gave me a paper and they told me solve it. And I knew that I won't be able to solve it properly, but still I made an attempt. Okay, and I was calm. So they were trying to give me hints, but still I couldn't. So in the end, I told them, so somewhere I have made some mistake in my assumption, so I won't be able to solve it. I'm sorry. So then they were calm, and I was also calm. I was smiling through the entire interview. They were not smiling. So I was just guessing what are they actually trying to think. But I took a lot of mock interviews before these interviews through our coaching classes. So they had made us mentally prepare that interviews might not smile, but you keep smiling and you keep on the confidence, because it spreads a positive vibe in the interview. So they started with these questions. Then they asked about GST, which I couldn't answer. But then they came to the topic of extracurricular activities, and I was
You were
I was waiting for that.
confident on that.
Yeah, and I did not allow them to finish their questions. So they were like, "What extracurricular?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm." So you know why I say that presence of mind is important, because when I was preparing for interviews, I had prepared that I'll say blogging first as my hobby. Then I'll mention about public speaking, which I really enjoy because I host a lot of social cultural events. And then I'll come to graphology or handwriting analysis. But since my interview was not very well, till then, I understood that maybe this is the point where I have to make it or break it. So I mentioned graphology first, in spite of planning that I was going to speak blogging or writing as my hobbies. I mentioned graphology because I thought if the interview goes in that particular direction, I'll be able to lead the interview. So I don't know how, but I suddenly said graphology. I'm a handwriting analyst. And then they told me, okay, fine, can you do it on the spot? So I said, I'll be comfortable. And the next 7 to 8 minutes, I did not stop. I had a paper in the front of my eye, and though they were trying to maintain a poker face, what I did is I did not try to maintain any eye contact. So this is not recommended. But since I was analyzing the handwriting, I could afford to not maintain eye contact. And I did not look up until they literally told me that stop. So I just continued for about 6 to 7 minutes because I wanted to take that in my hand. And I think that was the question when they were a little satisfied that, okay, she has not lost her confidence in spite of not being able to answer a few questions. So after that, so the extracurricular thing happened, after which they switched on to current affairs about the Mumbai Metro and the CA protests that happened, Sabarimala issue. So they went on to a lot of different topics during the current affairs round. So in short, they touched upon everything. They touched upon academics, work experience, extracurriculars, current affairs. So it was an amalgamation of all these things. And I came out of it smiling, very calm, very confident. Though I knew that I had really screwed some questions, I think confidence is something that you need to build up through your mock interview.
Right.
So this was about IIM Ahmedabad, and other college were on similar grounds. But IIM Bangalore was a very different interview. It was a good interview as per my experience because I could answer all questions, but they were not letting me answer my questions. So they were cutting me during the answers. So basically, it was a kind of a stress interview. So whenever I was trying to answer something, they were not letting me answer. So I hope and I believe that they did it on purpose to check whether I get dejected or I lose my patience or I go out of control. But I kept calm. So they kept asking me questions. I kept answering, but they were not able to, they were showing as if they were not convinced. But in that also, I spoke with a lot of conviction. I think these two things work a lot. One is conviction and confidence. If you speak with conviction and confidence, you are generally okay. Like the interview ought to be decent if you are doing these two things right.
Right. And what about SP Jain? We had someone asking you.
Oh yeah. So SP Jain has a different process actually. They have some interview calls that are out based on your entire profile, which is your 10th standard, 12th standard, graduation score and all of that. And the other thing is on your CAT score. So I had a profile-based call. So the profile-based call was even out before the CAT results were out. So SP Jain was the first interview that I took. And it has a group interview method. So they interview 6 people at a time. And I was lucky because I was the only female in those 6 people. So there were 5 other boys and I was the only girl. I was the only chartered accountant. All of them were engineers. So I was confident and happy even before the interview started that this hopefully will go in my favor because I had something new to speak. So the group interview is such that they ask questions individually to everyone. They might ask you somebody others questions to answer. That is the first round. Once you get selected to that round, some people are asked to leave after that round. So I cleared that round. The second round of interview is basically a test of your ethics, values. So the interviewers are ex-army men or ex-brigadiers or very senior professionals from the military. So all these people test your ethics and values. So they'll ask a lot of questions, which is like profession versus ethics. So as a chartered accountant, will you advise your clients to evade tax, or will you suggest them some tax saving proposals? So all these questions test you on your basic ethical moral. Yeah. So that is also a group interview. We were three people, two of us were girls and one of us was a boy. And I was again only the chartered accountant. So that also went well. So I converted my SPJ in call. I had an admit to SPJ in call for the finance specialization. So they have a specialization based interview selection process. So they select students as per the specialization. So I got admit for the finance specialization.
Okay. We are already 45 minutes into the interview, and I'll just take two more questions which I think are relevant.
Okay.
Do engineers have an edge over chartered accountants for getting into IIMs?
Actually, yes and no both. Yes, because they are good at math. They are also sometimes good at BILR, which is the logical reasoning, because they've done a lot of statistics and mathematics in their course, right? So while we start to solve a sum by the basic calculation, they apply integration, derivation, and they solve it by some other method, and we are not aware of what method they are following. So they have an edge there, but they are also at a disadvantage because a lot of times top B schools like IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Bangalore, IIM Kozhikode, all these colleges have a diversity factor. So they give a little more weightage to professionals from CA, so professionals like CA, CS, ICWA, even BMS graduates or arts graduates. So the main intent is to have a batch which is from varied backgrounds, having different work experience. So that is their main motive, that they want to have a batch which has equal number of CAs and engineers and non-engineers. But of course, the ratio is skewed because this criteria of having a selection shortlist for non-engineers is only till the time you are selected for the interview. After the interview, there is no weightage to any chartered accountant or any non-engineer. Then you all are on the same footing.
Right.
Only the reserved categories are separate. Everybody else is on the same level. You get, I think, 5 points for being a female, which is, I don't know, an advantage, disadvantage, whatever you call it. But that is there. But apart from that, there is no advantage for CAs or no advantage for engineers. So after that, it all matters on how your entire interview was and how your overall composite score comes to.
Okay. And how much sense does it make to do an MBA course considering the current pandemic and the fee structure of any B school? I think there was a last question, and because I also, I did my master's in accounting and I'm working, and it's been 2 years and I'm working here in the US. And I also sometimes think of doing an MBA, but I don't know if it makes sense given the current situation and everything else. So why did you decide to go for an MBA? And given the current situation, what are your thoughts on those?
So, I have just listened to a lot of stuff on the internet and spoke to a lot of seniors, who all tell that maybe it's a right time to go into an MBA because then you're not exposed to the fluctuations in the job market, right? So you don't have that risk of losing out on your job. So currently it's okay. You're planning to do an MBA or you're already in the course. But apart from that, I think it's your own choice. There are chartered accountants who do well even after being qualified chartered accountant. They start working and they reach a certain position, which is amazing. They don't need an MBA to prove their caliber or something, which is fine. But in case you want to really make sure that your ladder towards the corporate management level is faster and you reach your goal higher, I think if you want to be that ambitious, an MBA always is a good option. There are other courses. You can do masters, you can do an MBA from a foreign university, or you can do other courses like CFA or something like that. I think, but it's the world of education. I mean, you need to have a solid education background to make the cut. I mean, so more necessary than ever before, I think the pandemic situation mandates you to do whatever specialization you want to do in, not just an MBA, be it anything, a master's in any subject that you like. You have to have a strong educational background because in the end, your education will prove the permanency of your job. So I think what better than education can you rely on for a good job profile later. So
Right.
that's it.
All right.
So are we done with the questions?
Yes,
How much?
we've covered a wide range of questions here. There are so many questions, but I think Instagram has a limit of an hour, and we're already 15
Okay.
minutes into it. So I don't think we can take all the questions, but I'm so overwhelmed with all the questions coming in. But I think I've
Yeah.
covered all the topics and all the important topics. So thank
Okay.
you so much, Anushri. There was so much fun interacting with you.
This was a lot of fun. Tell me a little about what is the next plan you have for the series to continue. So you're doing a series, right? I want
Yes,
people to also know what kind of a series you're doing.
series of interviews that I decided to do with women that have inspired me, and the first one was you.
Okay.
Okay, there's one more question. I'll get to that in a bit. So the next one is with Dr. Shweta. She is a PhD in alternative medicine, and she's also a psychologist. And she does a lot of meditation sessions. I've personally attended a lot of sessions. So she is an amazing speaker and a motivational speaker. So I thought it would be very good to call her and take her interview, given given the situation, like women and emotional health, and why is it important to stay sane in these situations. Sorry, I get back to you. And why why MBA after CA? I think you've already answered it, but
It's a typical interview question. I don't think I have the right answer to it. I had prepared an answer for this question, but they never asked me. I think the only answer would be a better financial stability, or maybe a better corporate growth in your job. So, but only CA is also fine. I mean, I am totally pro CA, and I love chartered accountants, and whoever decides to go into practice can do amazingly well there as well. If you are deciding on a job, like you want to stick to corporate fields and you want to do a job, you don't want to do any entrepreneurship or something, then I think MBA is fun. Plus, for chartered accountants, I think since we miss out on college life, these 2 years prove to be a good college life experience for all of us, because we tend to not have a lot of fun in college because of articleship. So my another motivation was going out of home, living a life alone in hostel, and living those 2 years in college. So that was another motivation in case people want to do an MBA.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Anushri.
Thank you,
And
Hetal.
good luck
Thank you.
with your IIM Ahmedabad journey. I'm sure you will rock it, and
Thank you.
will make us proud once again.
Thank you. Looking forward to next Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will be amazing.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you
everyone for joining. Really appreciate that you spent so much time. Thank you so much for joining in. Bye.
Thank you, Hetal. Bye bye. Good night.
Good night.